Namaste, it's the Spiritual Daywalker with your tarot card reading for this new moon phase and its eclipse season. So Aquarius, this is going to be a dismantling of belief systems and structures, which you are actually quite equipped for, right? Because you love to get to the bottom of things, to the truth. There's a card already falling out. It's a Page of Cups in reverse. Interesting, so it's not going to feel exactly super playful. I don't know if it's in reverse though, so the Page of Cups falling out is a good thing. That is like um, finding true love in a sense, right? But in a very abstract sense. Probably more about playfulness, right? And rekindling that, or finding that inner child again, underneath all the gibberish that is falling away. That being said, it is a general reading, so if the message doesn't resonate with you, feel free to drop the message. If it does resonate with you, drop a comment, like, and subscribe. We're going to do the DNA spread as usual for the spirit coming into manifestation on the spirit axis, and then the energies balancing around that spirit axis. Yeah, it's ready. All right, let's see. Your soul decided what? A Six of Coins in reverse. Your soul decided to be more careful with what you're putting into, what you're giving, decided to get out of the Six of Coins energy that is talking about balance, equal give and take, or unequal give and take, especially when it's in reverse. So you've put a lot of thought into this, and now your soul decided it's time to follow through. I kind of get the sense that you're done with being exhausted from conversations and topics that do not suit you, right? I believe your last reading was about you moving into an environment that actually cherishes your wisdom. Gemini had a similar thing. So for the air signs, I believe it's a lot about like accepting that your thinking patterns are like most valuable, but only when they're applied in the right environment. For you, it's a lot about adding value and getting very little value in return, and your soul decided it's time to even that playing field, right? And to bring balance back again in your life, moving on from that Six of Coins, which is giving and giving and giving, maybe for the wrong reasons, or giving more than it gets back, that kind of energy. Let's see, in your spot of the Nine, that is your challenge, or rather the energy you're incorporating throughout this experience, that's a Three of Wands in reverse. Three of Wands in reverse is, well, it's tough to it's going to be tough for you to actually pull through with this. So Three of Wands is, you made up your mind, you're following your heart, whatever your creative will, your passion, but you, well, it's a little about recklessness, so to speak. So it's like Three of Wands is a card where someone couldn't get burned in the process. If that is in reverse, it's not easy for you to accept that, right? It's like you don't want to come across as reckless or whatever, or disregarding, you know? But somehow your soul's decision is to get out of this Six of Coins arrangement. And your Three of Wands challenge basically says it's not exactly easy for you to do so, right? To follow through with that impulse. Um, but well, you're probably gonna, huh? Let's see. In your spot of the 10, that is your manifestation, how you come across this energy in the real world, so to speak. So Three of Swords in reverse. It's heartbreak, right? Dealing with heartbreak, dealing with being disappointed, because it's not an because it's not an equal give and take, right? But also that Three of Swords in reverse means you've decided to move on from this energy. And how do you move on from this energy with the Three of Wands in reverse? Like, okay, um, you're you're prepared to break someone's heart in a sense. Um, Libra had a little similar reading where it's like, fuck no, you're not gonna take away my inner peace. That was also determined by a Three of Swords and a Three of Wands. Not in the same spot. For you, it's more internal. For you, it's more that like the advice you're gaining from this is like, mm, you don't want to get stuck in this disappointment of it being unequal. So you gotta, you know, take what's yours in a sense, or like pull through with what you actually want to achieve here. But it seems like this is a little delayed, or is some other obstacles in a way to do so. Well, life's full of obstacles. That's exactly what this is about. Let's see. In your spot with the one, the thing that gets you going is the sun in reverse. It's like, yeah, that Six of Coins energy didn't exactly make you happy. You were pouring a lot of energy into something that wasn't giving you energy back. It's what was taking your energy. So this this feeling of being drained by a situation or an arrangement um, is the very thing that gets you moving into a different direction. Let's see how this is balanced, right? Page of Swords in reverse. Page of Swords in reverse is talking about truth, right? And information that is withheld, that is not shared. And for you, it's more about someone being a little too hasty. I get a strong sense that it's someone in your reality. Also, because the sun is kind of showing that Gemini energy here is, and the Six of Coins talks about give and take. So maybe that Page of Swords is someone not exactly being true with you or true with themselves, probably with themselves, and that's why they're taking a lot of energy. Like you have to, or they don't cherish the truth as much as you do. So you are always the one explaining shit to them, which costing you a lot of energy, right? You are like the voice of reason in whatever arrangement it is that you're in. It's costing you a lot of energy. And that is a truth that is for you hard to accept, that somehow this has to change. This Page of Swords is, well, this is this has so many implications. I mean, like, for you, the Page of Swords in reverse means this is not moving, right? It's like I can give and give and give and give, but it's never enough, or it's not moving. And because you are confronted with the Page of Swords in reverse, which is like a mindset that is either moving too fast or not moving at all. So either you're always the one that is taking care of the mistakes being made, or you're always the one that is trying to put stuff into action, actually progress stuff, but it's not exactly working, right? So depending on what energy it is you're working with, to you, it's a Page of Swords in reverse, and you're just confronting you with that harsh truth that it's actually not working out in terms of it's not giving you energy back, not as much as you put in. Fair enough. See, what you realize from the situation in the spot of the three, that is the insight that gives you direction, is the Hanged Man. Yes, the Hanged Man is talking about hanging in there, right? But it's also a warning sign to get it moving, right? It has a little bit of both. Like you have to trust that this phase right now is there to deal with exactly that. So it's okay that it's not moving right now, because you have to come to that insight of how to rectify the situation, right? How to um, cherish yourself more in this. But the Hanged Man for me is a clear insight that you've been hanging on to this too long, and it's time to let loose, in a sense. right? Very, very beautiful insight. I mean, it's nothing really new for you, but probably the gravity um, surrounding this is like it's putting more pressure on your decision to move towards a different, like a different battleground, a different playing field, whatever, different environment. Um, Move on with a yeah, with an agreement that you made here, or with an exchange that is not fruitful for you, and you're hanging in there, and you realize you're just hanging in there, and that's not a thought that is actually filling you with pleasure. It's just like I feel like I'm hanging in there, but I'm not gaining anything from it, right? So the hangman is also talking about letting go, letting things unfold, and stuff like that, right? So not trying to control a situation that's supposed to fall apart. Let's see if there's any cards of something falling apart. For now, it's you moving on, or you needing to move on in a sense, with those threes in reverse and the six. So it's very much about the insight about how to deal with this agreement, this give and take. Well, this can be in any part of your life. It can be in business. It can be in relationship. Most likely it's in all of them a little bit, right? Because it's an energy you're entertaining, and it is present in all parts of your life in a sense. You have to know the astrology, what this solar eclipse is specifically dealing with. I believe it's in Scorpio. So this is about profound insights about how your emotions are triggered, and like what motivates you and whatever. So this fits the narrative already. Let's see in the spot of the four, the idea that gives you a sense of stability, right? Maybe, let's see. Death in reverse. Well, it's that Scorpio energy I was talking about, huh? Death in reverse is struggling with the transition in your fourth house. What is the fourth house? Is that, yeah, it must be family and like stability and whatever. If I'm talking bullshit, I'd have to check. But like the four is associated with stability and also control, whatever, and something like an arrangement is shifting, right? That death card means you're transitioning, right? And it's probably not easy to transition, because whatever is leaving you has given you a sense of security, stability, and it's never super pleasant if things like that shift. But it seems like it's more than necessary, because it's draining your energy, it's draining your happiness, your lust for life, right? So you've decided that, or you've recognized that you're just hanging in there. Now it's tough for you to let things die. Um, but with that death card, it seems more and more that is something you have to give up in a sense, but maybe you're not exactly moving on. Maybe something is moving on from you, because you stop giving it your energy in a sense. Let's see. In the spot of the five, um, that is the thing that, well, is a troublemaker in a sense. Is the thing that causes this to erupt. If there's a tower then coming up, I have to laugh, but it's probably something that's gonna, yeah. It's a King of Swords. The King of Swords right underneath the Page of Swords. It's like you don't agree, right? Either you don't agree, or their arguments are just bullshit. Like whatever arrangement you're in, your air energy, your mind, is not exactly appreciated or not understood. So it very much seems like the detailed version of the last reading, where you were trying to, like, you were moving on to a different environment, and now this seems related to like a specific person, a specific arrangement, not so much like the entire thing, but the realization that a specific person or relationship that hits really close to home, that death card, is also part of this shift, is also not exactly reasonable, you know, and it's not easy for you to break their heart in a sense, but they not further your lust for life. This is just like, yeah, you don't feel like your core energy, your core being is valued. And it's probably a person that is supposed to do that in a sense, or that you would love for, like, to be recognized by for who you are and what you're capable of. Maybe it's not exactly family, it feels more like a job situation or whatever, where you're like, I'm just not valued here. I gotta move on. Or somehow make myself known, you know. But with that death card, it's like, death card, hanged man. It's all about um, letting something leave you, right? Maybe it's even that you're being laid off or whatever, right, for some bullshit reason, and you just have to trust that this thing leaving you is going to help you with pursuing what you truly want, right? So maybe last reading, like last moon phase, you made the decision to move on to calmer shores, and the universe kind of heard your calling and is now moving you on to calmer shores. So either it's you making that decision, or that decision has been made for you. It's showing up in your reality as unreasonable, right? Because, like, for the wrong reasons, you've been pushed into the right direction, right? Because whatever arrangement you're in, it wasn't exactly working for you. Now, let's see in the spot of the 7 why that is, that it's so tough for you to let go of this, that you need the insight of a hanged man, and to like move you towards this decision. Because I kind of get that you make that internal decision already, but why is this showing up like this, like the 3 of Swords in reverse in your reality? It's not exactly what you want. Well, you're moving on from that heartbreak, so it is what you want. Like, if you have a 3 of Swords in your reading, that is a good sign when it's in reverse, right? Because 3 of Swords is a strong conviction about something that is blinding you towards relief, towards possibilities. Right? That's why it's a card for heartbreak. Is when you think you have to feel a certain way, in a sense. So, that's why it's associated with heartbreak, right? So thoughts about matters of the heart that are more likely motivated by bullshit reasons, as these 2 masculine air energies, mind energies, are in reverse right here. So someone is not exactly making sense to you, and it's even worse when they make you feel like you're not making sense, right? Because you are the one making sense. You're the Aquarian here, right? I know that I'm an Aquarius moon. I love explaining shit, even if I know people don't need the explanation. I still love to give them one, hope they find some value in it. These king and knave of swords, they don't find value in it, right? They rather find it overbearing, and that's not exactly the feedback that makes you happy about who you are, right? So this is where you're coming from. Now let's see where you're getting into, or how you're going to realize that, which is shifting within your reality. In the spot of the 7, that's your sense of identity, your sense of self is largely determined by this energy. Is going to come up right here. And that's 9 of Swords in reverse. 9 of Swords in reverse is struggling with overthinking, is a large part of your character, or what you think about yourself, So their reason is off by a mile, but it makes you think, yeah, they're right, I'm overthinking, you know? No, you're not overthinking, you're using your brain. That's a very different thing, right? But the idea of struggling with your mind hits really close to home, is something you've built your character around. It's like, yeah, I know, I'm constantly overthinking. No, they're constantly underthinking. That is like what is happening here. And you've been dealing with these sort of energies for a while now. It's not just that I always have the idea when thinking about Aquarius, it's like, yeah, understood people. No, it's really showing up in your energies. It's like your own energy is in reverse here in all four instances, right? All four sword cards are in reverse, and that kind of means that you're kind of misunderstanding yourself through a wrong type of reasoning, but it's leaving you, right? It's leaving you. You just have to let it go. The more you hold on to the idea of your thoughts being something to be controlled and suppressed, and not being led astray by, that's a trap. That's a fucking trap. That's trap thinking. So just like I'm doing the same to you, realize, right? I'm telling you that you're overthinking a situation about overthinking, which is a snake biting its tail. But it kind of is like that. It's like, trust your own reasoning, not their reasoning, because wherever their reasoning is coming from is probably not as educated as yours. Right? It's tainting your decision making, and you are an amazing decision making machine because you're always looking for that truth. It seems like your sense of truth is somehow tainted here, because you're working through that Three of Swords. The Three of Swords is the heartbreak that someone is not exactly appreciating you for what you are good at, because you think you're not good at it. You think you're overthinking, but you're not. You're just like thinking a lot. Nothing wrong with that as long as you do it well, and you do it well. Just realize that. So the thought, like intentionally put like this, the thought that is going to lead you towards abundance, towards rectifying that sun over here in the diagonal, right? In the spot of the 8 is the moon in reverse that is realizing something that has been hidden. And the first sense I got about this was, well, usually the moon is, well, about the subconscious. Most of the time, the moon tells you something about yourself. In this case, my first instinct was to say, you're going to learn something about them, about the people that fill your head with arguments that are kind of off. And you kind of know that they're off, but they're kind of, as an authority figure. It's a very pragmatic type of reasoning that does make sense, but it's not exactly wise. And you're going to realize something about that reasoning where you're like, aha, that's why they're thinking the way they're thinking. So their arguments are actually off. And I kind of recognized that. I knew it. Why wasn't I listening to myself? Because I thought these thoughts are just baggage, right? Because I didn't trust my own money making machine, Well, that being said, Aquarius is not only a thinker, right? It is the water bearer. It is the one thinking about the inner workings of, for example, emotions, right? It's the one understanding why people are who they are, where they're coming from, and all that stuff. So it seems like this is going to kick in where you realize the people in your life that represent a false reasoning, right? Like false prophets, I want to say. No, it's like very pragmatic, cut to the chase kind of energy that is a little out of whack, right? And they block themselves in the way they reason with themselves. And since this is something you're attached to, you're prone, like you think you're prone to do yourself, you identified with this for a long time, hangman, right? Like, but you realize that this arrangement is not exactly working because the reasoning is actually off, and you're going to learn something is coming to light about this argument. Maybe you're actually having an argument, right? Or maybe you don't have an argument, you have that argument within yourself. It's like, are they right? Maybe it's like, yeah, nah. You know, maybe you don't engage in the conflict, but you have a conflict within yourself with that Three of Swords in reverse, where you're like, you know what? No, actually, when it come to think about it, you know, this here, it seems like there is news coming in, or a realization, a revelation about how you work with the opinions of others, right? And that you don't have to be heartbroken about it, because when you realize where they're coming from, even more so, right? When you realize why they are kind of disregarding towards you, towards what you are good at. Maybe not exactly disregarding, I mean, just like undervaluing you in a sense. You're going to realize something about why it is what it is, right? And that's going to get you out of this. That's going to get you out of this Nine of Swords, overthinking energy. The moment you realize you're not overthinking, you're just thinking a lot, and you have that thought for a while, like, you know, that you're starting to come to terms with it. And that's very beautiful, actually, right? So this is something shifting in your reality, and more like, it's like you're pinpointing the problem, right? So for the last reading, for the last moon, you were like, somehow I don't feel like my input is really being valued here. I'm done with people just taking advantage of what I bring to the table without recognizing, even doing it. And now you're pinpointing the problem, when it's like, it's this type of thinking. It's that argument that is actually totally off, and that is more motivated by some subconscious bullshit than the actual truth, right? So the truth, with the moon in reverse, the truth is going to be revealed to you, like the true motivation of the people in your life, or their reasoning rather, is going to be revealed to you, and it's going to question your sense of self as the overthinker, because you're not the overthinker, you're a thinker. That's beautiful, right? And that's not all you are, but it's a large part of you, and accepting that is beautiful thing. So it's going to turn that Three of Swords in reverse into a Three of Wands in reverse, where you're like, fuck no, actually, I know I have to move on. I have to pick a direction and stick to it. And it's not exactly easy, because I feel like it hits close to home, because it's not that it's just like it's not a Knight of Cups, or a King of Cups in reverse, like some water energy, where you're like, you're so emotional it just doesn't make sense. No, it is a familiar energy. It is someone that seems to be reasonable, but the reasoning is built on false premises, right? So their way of trying to find the truth is similar to yours, but they're built on misinformation, right? They build their arguments on misinformation. That's why it's tough for you to figure out, because the way they approach a problem makes sense to you, but their argument is off by a mile, right? So, and that is kind of leaving you. That's why this arrangement was off, because they thought they were smarter than you, and maybe in some cases they are, but whatever this is concerning, they're not, right? And that's something you're going to realize about this situation. In the spot of the Six, that is that realization where you're like, aha, this is what it's good for, and it's going to give you a little it gives you clarity right here. So like the spot for clarity, in a sense, is the Five of Wands in reverse. That is, yeah, realizing something about the conflict that erupts from, or the inner conflict of the people with whom you have that argument, right? So yeah, you're having like struggling with a lot of thoughts, around a situation, and then moving out of that energy once you realize something about the motivation of that situation. And what you realize is a Five of Wands in reverse, is that they are all wanting different things. They're all have different motivations, or they have a different motivation than you going into the argument, and that's why they operate under different premises. And that's why it's like their method is similar to yours of trying to solve a problem, but their reasoning like is based on different opinions than yours, which is, well, makes sense because that's what it's all about. It's like everyone has a different opinion, and then mediating these opinions is what's actually getting us closer to the truth, right? That's why you hide them, like hold them in high regard, but you're realizing something about the conflict that is there. And with this realization, you're going to move out of the Three of Swords. Like you don't, like this heartbreak is going to wear off because you're realizing something about their motivation, right? Where you're like, you actually feel a little pity for them, right? A little like more compassionate, because it seems like they didn't see it themselves, right? So whatever this arrangement was that you were catering, you're moving out of this unequal give and take because you realize something about their reasoning and what their premises are, what their decision making is based on. So even though this their methods are close to yours, you're not coming to the same conclusion because they're built on something different, and you're going to realize something about that, right? You're finding out something about what actually motivates them. It can be abstractly, it can be something abstract like getting to know their backstory or whatever, or it can be something more tangible where you're like, okay, so this was what they actually wanted to gain from whatever we were working on together here, right? So their goal was never to whatever win the pitch and build up the client. Their goal was to fuck them over and buy the company, something like that, right? Could doesn't have to be. It's just like it can be a little more tangible than just subconscious motivations, right? But this is the thing that is going to come down to, that it's going to come down to for you, is realizing what their subconscious motivations were. What they didn't see was off with their reasoning because it was so hidden, so deep within themselves and their character structure and whatever. So you're realizing something about the conflict you have with the certain situation that was tough for you to address because you identified with this so much, right? Because that Nine of Swords in reverse. But guess what? You don't have to feel that heartbreak about it or be so hardened up in your mind about it, right? You're losing the idea that you were an overthinker, but because you're not, you're just like you're a brilliant mind and you have a lot of insight, and you're realizing something about where their arguments are off, right? And it seems like it's some, I'm so focused on that King of Swords right here. That's there's a person, I feel like there's a person or a type of person in your life that is making you doubt your own reasoning, right? It's like it's very compelling and smart, but not exactly wise, and that is taking a lot of energy. And this person or situation is leaving you. You have to let it go. Let go of you, right? And you're only going to be able to do that when you see it's not your fault, right? It could be that someone is leaving your life, like the death of the King of Swords, basically, right? Someone is leaving your life, maybe under false pretenses, and you feel heartbroken about them leaving, and then you realize that there's no need for you to feel heartbroken about it, because now you actually are free to think the way you want to think and not be burdened by whatever mindsets they were putting onto you, right? You're like, that's really freaking cool. It feels like you're getting rid of gaslighting, right? It feels like they were gaslighting you without even knowing. I'm not saying that anyone is malevolent here. I'm saying that they didn't know better, but you do. You're an Aquarius, right? You do. You sniff out that something is off, and you're not going to stop until you know what. And it's going to come to light, right? It's going to come to light. Their false reasoning is going to come to light. And whether they understand it or not, it's none of your business. You have to be the one understanding it, right? And this is shoving you into a direction, or it's taking them out of your life, which gives you another direction anyway, right? It's very, very beautiful energy. Just have to hang in there, let it have, like, not hang in there, not hang on to it, but hang in there until this transitional period is done. You're going to realize soon enough what it was about. And well, um, it's good because you don't exactly feel happy the way it is, right? If you're honest about it, it's like it's taking a lot of your energy, right? It's like it's making you spiral in your mind. And even though you love your mind, you love being in your mind, it's a beautiful place, there's a lot happening, it's very interesting being in an Aquarian mind, right? Oh, I love living there, it's beautiful. But it can be treacherous, especially when someone is filling your head with bullshit information. And that bullshit information is going to come to light. So it's very beautiful energy. Thank you, Aquarius, for sharing it with me, and enjoy this phase because it seems very freeing, right? Let it die, whatever it is. Let it die, or let go of you, and you're going to feel much lighter afterwards. This is basically what you've been wishing for the last moon is now being pinpointed to the players, the agents in your life that are cause for this trouble, that you've been giving more than you were receiving from. So it's beautiful. Aquarius, if that resonated with you, drop a comment, like and subscribe. Check out daywalker-bali.com for some more of the stuff that I'm building here, right? I'm bringing new age brands from Bali together on one platform. Newsletter registrations for the shop are open already. So if that interests you, check it out. I'm building the tarot deck. It's going to take some time because there's a lot on my plate right now, but and I'm still in the learning phase, right? But it's going to be amazing. It's going to be exactly about like the numerology of it, getting to the truth of the tree of life and all that stuff. So going to be amazing. Thank you so much for being with me, and enjoy this. This is what you actually been hoping for to happen. Let it happen. Thank you, Aquarius. I love you.